Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. Today is Antibiotic Awareness Week. Wow, okay. And I wanted to do a little bit of a video because I know most people know what antibiotics are, but I want to talk a little bit about antibiotic resistance, just as a general prelude here. The light is very strange. We're working on it. Okay. So an antibiotic in general is, and I have it written down in front of me for the formal definition, a type of antimicrobial substance that's active against bacteria, hence antibiotic. It is the most important type of antibacterial agent for fighting bacterial infections, and antibiotic medications are widely used in the treatment and prevention of such infections. They may either kill or inhibit the growth of bacteria. The type of antibiotic is also usually catered to the type of infection and the type of bacteria that's causing the infection, which is one of the bits of biology that frustrates most people and most biologists, because antibiotic resistance is something that happens when there's more than one strain of the bacteria and the bacteria actually adapts so that the antibiotic is no longer effective. So, for example, when I got my wisdom teeth out, I had it in my chart that one of the antibiotics that's commonly prescribed post-surgery is one that my body was resistant to. And the surgeon who did my wisdom teeth surgery neglected to read that part and gave me that antibiotic, and it obviously didn't work, and I ended up getting mono. Just because I had open wounds in my mouth and the antibiotic did not work. So I know that antibiotics do work if given properly. However, from what I've heard from my clients, they're typically overprescribed because people go in with any kind of general issue and quite often they're given antibiotics. So antibiotic resistance occurs when bacteria change in response to the use of these medicines. So typically when a new antibiotic is created, it's kind of mass produced and given to people for whatever the new infection is that's going around. And the bacteria is becoming smarter and smarter in that over the years it adapts more quickly because it's something that it hasn't seen before, so it takes a little bit to figure it out, and then it adapts to that as well. Then the bacteria, not the humans or the animals themselves, become antibiotic resistant. These bacteria may infect humans and animals, and the infections are harder to treat than those caused by non-resistant bacteria, which is why there are so many strains of the flu, for example, because the original strain became resistant to the first original antibiotic, and then there were two strains, and then they came up with another antibiotic to treat the second strain, and then that one became resistant to something else. And at the same time, the original became resistant to a different type, so you can see how easily and why there are multiple strains of the flu. Typically, they recommend it after surgery or for an infection, that kind of thing. But my clients tell me that usually their vets give them antibiotics for all kinds of stuff. So if they say their pet went in with a cut that's not infected, they just needed someone to stitch it, and then they needed to wait, they'll use antibiotics to make sure it doesn't get infected. In my personal experience, and again, I'm not a vet, so if you're concerned or your pet has an infection, go to your vet first. But I like to use colloidal silver, COLODIAL, silver, and it's antiviral, antibacterial, and anti-inflammatory. For cuts, skin punctures, bug bites, anything like that, rashes, anything like that. If Kai ever gets a tick bite, pull the tick out and disinfect the area with colloidal silver, just because that seems to work really well. She hasn't had a reaction to anything, but I find it really helpful, especially one thing I really like about it is that it comes both in a paste, so it's something you can rub on topically, but it's also, you can get it in a liquid form. So if you have, for example, a throat infection or tonsils or something like that, you can actually gargle with it and then swallow it. And it will immensely help. It's a really good immune booster if that's something that you usually struggle with, if you usually have cough or itchy throat or anything like that. It's really helpful for that. But that's just something that we grew up with using, and it usually comes in a blue tube if you're getting the topical. If you're getting the liquid, it's usually a white container. It's about this big, round. But they've both been very helpful. Last October, when I was really sick, I probably wouldn't have bounced back as quickly as I did without the colloidal silver, just because it was kind of like bronchitis, but it was also a sinus infection, and it was just really bad. But I'd love to hear your experiences with antibiotics, because a lot of parents that I talk to as well are getting more frustrated with them because they don't want to keep giving their kids antibiotics for everything. So it'd be an interesting topic to discuss. But I hope you have a fabulous rest of your Tuesday, and I will see you later this week for a live video on Instagram.